Hey and welcome back to part 2 in my declutter series. I will leave part 1 right here for you up in the cards. In today's video we will cover highlighters, primers as well as concealers. So let's get straight into some decluttering. Okay, so now we're moving on to highlighters. This is the Strobe of a Genius Illuminating Palette and I have not gotten a lot of use out of this one. This is what it looks like on the inside. The only shades that I actually really liked was this one as well as this one. These two are quite similar to Becca highlighters that I have, Moonstone and Champagne Pop. So I think I will declutter this one because those are of much higher quality in my opinion. I do prefer those. So moving on to my liquid and cream highlighters. As you can see, the lineup is not that big. I only have one liquid and one cream. I do prefer powder highlights. I feel like those are easier to just slap on and make them look good when you're in a hurry. This is the Cover Effects Custom Enhancer Drop. This is the shade Moonlight. This one is actually too dark for my skin tone to use on top of the cheekbones as a highlighter, so that was a major fail on my part, and that happens a lot to me because I only shop online and I can't actually see and touch and play with the stuff before I get it, so it's always a gamble. This one, however, worked out rather nicely because I can mix it in with my foundation and use it in my base to get a really nice glowy dewy look. So I am going to hold on to this one definitely. The quality is really great and I do love it. So that's the shade Moonlight right there. So this is my one and only cream highlight and this is in a stick form. This is the NYX Dose of Dew. I have used this a handful of times but I don't feel like I have nailed the application process yet. So yeah, I will keep playing around with this one. I have it swatched right there on my hand. This is much more of a natural sheen, more so than shimmer. So moving on to my powder highlights, this is the Cover Effects Mini. And before we get into this one, let me just say how great are minis. How often does one person go through an entire highlight, especially if one person has more than one? This is in the shade Moonlight. And once you open this one, it doesn't look like much at all in the pan. I was quite disappointed actually when I got it. Once you get it on your cheeks, this is absolutely gorgeous. So don't let whatever's in the pan fool you. You need to try this one out on the cheeks. So yeah, this one has definitely become one of my favorites really quickly. I might even put it in my top 3, I believe. So this one is definitely staying. I will probably purchase the mini one again because I think it's cute. Next up we have this gorgeous color wheel from Ofra in the shade Beverly Hills. It's absolutely stunning if you are into really blinding intense beaming highlighters, then the Ofra ones are definitely the way to go. I mainly get use out of these bottom 3 shades because I am quite pale indeed. So there you have some swatches of the Ofra Beverly Hills highlighter. So Beverly Hills from Ofra is definitely not going anywhere. This is a drugstore highlighter that I absolutely adore. This is from Milani. The shade is called Summer Glow number 7. Let's give this guy a little swatch. So there you have Summer Glow from Milani. It doesn't look like much when you swatch it, but trust me, on the cheeks it comes alive and it is absolutely magical for every day. This is trusty old Mary Lou from The Balm. This was my first ever highlighter that I purchased and you can definitely tell because I have hit pan on this one. So there you have a swatch of Mary Lou and it is definitely a classic cult product for good reason. I don't remember if I said that Mary Lou was staying, but she definitely is. Then we have my Becca. I think they had maybe 15% off or something like that and I was like, heck yeah, I'm buying 3. Those are the types of decisions that I'm trying to avoid in the future. Do not recommend. So Pearl is first up and I thought the Pearl will be absolutely perfect for me because I am really fair like I've said before, but this one is actually too stark of a white even for myself, so you would have to be Snow White in order for this to look natural. I feel like this one does look like a stripe on myself, but why have you hit pan then, one might ask. I actually love this as an inner corner highlight, so the only reason that I have hit pan is because I use this on my inner corners. So this one, for instance, Champagne Pop. This one is hard for me to decide on because I always keep it around and I am like,
well, next summer I am probably going to be outside and I am probably going to change color. But no, that summer never arrives here in Sweden, so I never have enough time to actually get tanner. Let's think on that one. This one is for sure staying. This is indeed my perfect shade. This is Moonstone. It is not as light and bright and stark as Pearl. It has a golden undertone. So if you have a really fair or light skin tone, the Moonstone is probably going to work quite well for you. So there you have Moonstone on the right next to Champagne Pop. And as you can see, it is a lot lighter in the shade. I honestly don't know if I can get myself to get rid of these, but I feel like we have actually not gotten rid of a single one. So if I keep these two, then I will have to get rid of 2 other ones. And if I cannot, I will get rid of these 2 instead. So there's a lot of pressure on these 3 back here. We have 2 from Makeup Geek and 1 from Gerard Cosmetics. Oh, I totally forgot about this one. I have actually a pan in 3 highlighters. I am going to give myself a pat on the back for that one. That is quite an accomplishment. I did really like it at one point. So that is on the far right, the shade Grace from Gerard Cosmetics. It is quite similar to Moonstone indeed, so I will get rid of Grace. I am decluttering that one because it doesn't look as smooth on the skin as Moonstone does. I was actually really excited about these, but once I got them, they were quite a disappointment. So let's open them up. This is Electrify, and this one has a translucent base. Can you see my little bunny ears? So in my opinion, that is not the case at all. The base is not translucent. It is definitely a white cast and looks quite ashy on the skin, which I don't like. This one is duochrome, so it's supposed to be, like I said, a translucent whitish base with a golden yellow hint to it. This one in Electrify can definitely be decluttered, so we are saying goodbye to this one. Now the question is whether or not I should keep Lit. This one is apparently broken. Well, that's great. That's just perfect. This one has the same kind of translucent base in their opinion, white in mine, and it's supposed to have a peachy sheen once the light hits. I think I can get the peach to show up. I am trying my darnest. Come on, peach. I kind of like this one, but now that I'm looking at it, swatching it is quite chalky as well. So I think I'm actually going to get rid of both. It doesn't make sense to keep it. So I am also getting rid of Lit from Makeup Geek. Now we are moving on to base products, and I have 2 of these white sort of utensil thingy holders. They are quite good at storing concealers and primers and stuff like that, foundation bottles as well. So let's start with my concealers. This is my newest addition. I have only tried it a handful of times. This is the Colourpop No Filter Concealer, and mine is in the lightest shade. I actually haven't gotten this to work for me yet. I have very dry skin. My under eyes are quite dry indeed, and this one does look kind of cakey and does age my under eyes a bit. I do really want to like this. I do want to try it out again and see if I can make it work. So I will be holding on to this one, and hopefully it will work out great for me in the future. So keeping Colourpops. Oh, and by the way, I have 2 of these. I actually bought 2 at the same time. I don't know why I do that to myself. Here we have the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Concealer. This is in the shade Light Ivory, which is unfortunately the lightest shade, which is such a shame because this is probably my favorite concealer at the moment, and it is too dark for my under eyes. Unfortunately, it doesn't brighten me up at all. It actually kind of darkens up my under eyes, and that is exactly the opposite of what you would want to achieve. But I absolutely love the formula, so if you can find a shade that works for you, this one might be an option. I really do like it because it looks like skin once it sets. I wouldn't say it's either matte nor dewy. It just looks like, yeah, natural skin like finish. I really appreciate that. Does not make me look dry or age my under eyes whatsoever, which is why I like this one. And this has been my all-time favorite high-end under eye concealer. However, this one I have figured out breaks me out, which is quite the bummer. So I have decided that I will in fact declutter this one and I won't be repurchasing it, which is such a shame because this one looks so nice and dewy and fresh and hydrating underneath my dry as ice. So this is quite a sad moment indeed. I am going to say goodbye to my holy grail concealer. Bye bye bare skin, I am going to miss you. So the last concealer is the Pure Shake and Bake Powder to Cream Under Eye Concealer. And I don't really have any words for this concealer. This is so weird. I don't even know what to say. I'm just going to tell you that I am decluttering it, and that will have to speak for itself because this one is just weird. I don't get it. I don't like it whatsoever. It's dry, you can't really blend it out, it looks cakey, the light shade is really dark, and yeah, it does not work for me whatsoever. Going. And then we have two color correctors. We have a green one from NYX and a peach one from Urban Decay. Love the peach one from Urban Decay, definitely staying. I use it on my under eyes to correct my dark circles. And then we have this green one from NYX. It's their HD concealer in the shade. What do you know? It's green. I actually don't need this one anymore. I used to have a lot of breakouts and blemishes and redness to cover up, but thanks to great skincare, I don't have those issues anymore. So I can actually happily say that I will be decluttering this one, and I am quite satisfied with not having to use this one anymore, so I am saying goodbye to this green color corrector. Let's move on to primers and such next. First up we have this BB Plus Illumination from Gerard Cosmetics, and all I really need to say about this one is it's very old and it is definitely going. Next up we have a illuminating primer that I am kind of on the fence about. There are so many parts about this primer that I love, and there are some parts that are driving me crazy, so I don't really know if I should keep it or not. I feel like I should keep it and use it up. I have used quite a lot of this one, so it shouldn't be that much left. So the issues that I am having with this primer from First Beauty is that it doesn't necessarily go well with all my foundations. It does make some of them break up and go on quite weird and make them kind of separate. I will use it up, but I won't repurchase this one. And then we have the illuminating primer from Cover FX. This is kind of new to my collection, but I have tried it a couple of times. This primer looks so magnificent on the skin, super magical. You just look like you are the healthiest person alive, pretty much. You are shining like a baby's bottoms, but they don't shine, so I don't know why you like me. That is what they look like blended out. Cover FX on the top and First Beauty on the bottom. I do really love the ingredients of the Cover FX one. It is nothing that is going to break me out, so I can slather this all over my face and feel good about it if I want to. I'm definitely keeping this one. The issue with this one, however, is that this one is water-based. It does not contain any silicones whatsoever, nor any oils as far as I can tell. So this one is probably not going to work underneath foundations that are not water-based. Lastly, we have a NYX Pro Foundation Mixer, and this is in the shade White. And I obviously use this one to lighten up foundations that is too dark for me, and that happens a lot. I tend to always buy foundations that are way too dark, and this one comes in really handy in those cases. I don't feel like this one interferes or alters the feel of the foundation. It just affects the color, so I do really enjoy this one. I feel like it was quite a good purchase on my part, so yay me.